Get ready to rumble. OMG. Do we have a knockout, drag-out fight between two lawyers? This custody hearing turns real ugly, real quick. Mom has claims of dad beating and throwing knives at his son, while dad is claiming mom is letting him roam free. Either way, the main event is not the parents, but the screaming bout between the Esquires. Round 1, fight.
Williamson versus Roger Gondel.
For the record, this matter is before the court on the defendant's motion for immediate return of the minor child. Excuse me, as well as the plaintiff's motion to modify custody. This hearing is being conducted via Zoom. Present is Attorney Sean Glaza, representing the defendant father, Roger Gondol. Mr. Gondol is present. Good afternoon, Mr. Glaza. In addition, Attorney John Danielski is present, representing the plaintiff's mother, Brianne Williamson. And Ms. Williamson is present. The parties have conferred with Ms. Patrick from the front of the court. Ms. Patrick has provided the court with final recommendation. I'm sorry, the court's going to back up. The court did enter an ex parte order on May 22nd, 2023, reporting the minor child, Kyler, to be returned to the defendant father. That apparently has not happened. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor. I got involved in the case on Memorial Day, Your Honor, so.
Well, when was plaintiff's mother served with the order?
Well, she was served by email, I believe, on 7 or 8 days ago, Your Honor, so.
Well, should have been returned at that time, but in any event, the recommendation of Mrs. Patrick this afternoon is that the minor child is returned to the defense custody today at the Monroe City Police Department. We need to establish a time. Right now it's 4 o'clock. What can the parties be there by 5 o'clock?
Your Honor,
The
the
plaintiff Your Honor,
the defendant father is coming from Kalkaska.
Okay. How long will that take, Mr. Gondol, for you to drive from Kalkaska?
You're on mute.
Okay, you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's about a 3.5 hour trip. Sorry about that, Your Honor.
So what time do you propose to meet at the city police department?
As soon as this meeting's over, I'd be taking off. So if
Okay,
everything,
well, again,
so
you
8
know
o'clock.
the traffic. I think we should establish a time rather than just being some
Well,
time this evening.
It was my understanding that I would text Miss Williamson when I got close, and then she would beat me.
All right, is that agreeable then? Mr.
Yes,
Mr.
Well,
Danielski?
well, Your Honor, there's one thing I'd like to object to regarding the
Right.
rec, so. I mean,
Right, let me finish the remainder of the rec. The rec is that the minor child be returned to the defendant's custody today at the Monroe City Police Department. Defendant will text plaintiff when he's almost there. Okay, I didn't read that far. I was surprised it hadn't occurred by now. In any event, the parties will appear back for court on July 25, 2023 at 9 a.m. to consider the plaintiff's motion to modify custody. The issues of custody and parenting time shall be referred to the front of the court in the interim. Perform investigation recommendations. So we'll have those recommendations before us when we come back on July 25 at 9 a.m. That's recommendation. Ms. Glaza, is this recommendation good with your client?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
Right, Mr. Danielski.
Well, Your Honor, my only concern is the allegations in this case are that the father has hit this child. This is a child who's going to be 15 in August. And the allegations are that he's hit him at least 5 times in the last 6 months. He threw a knife at the child that my client actually witnessed while they were on FaceTime, and it landed in the ground next to the child. He beat the kid up, knocked him down, and stepped on his face. And then there's, my client made a report with Lunapier Police, but that report indicates that, that the jurisdiction is up north. My concern, the child's been going to school remotely. Mother's got him caught up on assignments. The child was failing in school before that, and I believe probably still is because she's trying to get him all caught up. My concern is I would prefer that the child stay with my client, because of these allegations, Your Honor, until the front of the court can sort this out. So those are my objections, Your Honor.
Well,
May I respond?
someone faxed to the court today a letter from the Calcasas County Department of Health and Human Services dated May 31st, 2023. Has anyone received those? I'm not sure where it came from. It was faxed
My
to the
concern,
court.
yeah, I did receive it, Your Honor, but the Ms. Glaze has sent it, but they've never spoken to the child. And so I don't know if any case was ever filed. My client was told that a case was filed, but they've never spoken to the child. So clearly no case was ever filed because they have to speak to the child if there's allegations. So that letter, frankly, Your Honor, at least to me, doesn't mean anything because they haven't spoken to the child. The only one who has is Luna Pier Police, and they did put a paragraph on page 3 of the report at the bottom regarding what the child told them. I'm glad the front of the court is going to speak to the child because I think they have to in the allegations of abuse. But my concern is sending the child back if this stuff is in fact going on, which which the evidence that is provided to me indicates that it is.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Plaintiff's counsel is arguing the motion that he filed and served on me yesterday, and I have all of this documentation, and the only thing that I was able to get today was this CPS letter because it was so important to me, because they are alleging in his motion that I just received yesterday that there is a CPS case. It is not closed, but in fact, there's not in a case, there's no investigation, none of this has happened. I do see in his motion, he attached a police report that was filed by mom, but that report says at the bottom of page 3, it says, we did not question the child and the report was made for information purposes only. And if mom thought the child was being abused or hit, she knows what city he lives in. She knows where she should make a police report where someone can actually do something. And that was not done. In regards to school, there are school records. They had sent them to me yesterday. Mom has the exact same login information. I don't know where they're saying he's attending remotely. He has not been back in school since the day she took him and didn't return him home. These allegations are just that, they're allegations. I know that the child has a lot more free time at mom's, and that's why he wants to stay, and it's unfortunate. But, you know, dad has rules. He has a bedtime. He is on top of him about doing his homework, but he absolutely does not hit or abuse his son. We can gather and get letters from the principal of the school, from his nephew that actually lives in the house. He wrote a letter and submitted to me yesterday that I'm going to turn in with our motion, that he'll testify and sign, you know, his letter with the notary that he hasn't witnessed any sort of abuse. So I am also glad that the front of the court will do an investigation, speak with his son, but I think a lot of this is simply not true. And drinking and driving and parties in the house, the stepmom has not lived in that home. They've actually been broken up since last year. So maybe the son is saying something he remembered from a year ago because he's mad. I don't know. I don't want to presume, but it certainly isn't happening because she doesn't even live there. They're not even together anymore.
Your Honor, if I could briefly respond. Counsel I don't know what police report she's reading, but I'm looking at the police report. The bottom of page 3, it says
Of your motion,
Kyler, Your Honor, Counsel, I did not interrupt you. Please.
okay.
Your Honor, at the bottom of page 3, Exhibit B, while at station, Kyler advised reporting officer, and it goes on to say what Kyler said. So first of all, I don't know how she can say that the police didn't talk to the child when they did. It's right in the report at the bottom of page 3. If this attorney, please stop interrupting me, Your Honor.
Right, Ms. Glazer said that CPS did not interview the children, but yes, Luna Pier Police Department did speak with the child, and I did read that police report, Mr. Danielski.
And then regarding CPS, that's a problem that they haven't talked to the child. Okay, my client was advised that they were going to. They never did. So I'm glad the front of the court's going to, because somebody needs to. So no CPS, whatever. That doesn't mean anything to me because they never talked to they didn't do an investigation. which needs to be done. So my concern, as I said briefly, Your Honor, in my objection, is that these are the allegations, and my client did witness one of them over FaceTime. And I'm concerned about sending the boy back, and she showed me that all the assignments, she came in here, and keep in mind, I've only had the case for 2 days, that she's doing all the assignments online. So my concern is sending him back, Your Honor, before the front of the court can do their investigation.
Right.
And if I can tell you what I'm reading, because I'm not crazy here, under disposition, page 3 of 3, I see the part that you're reading, page 2 of 3. It says Kyler advised that he doesn't want to return home on Sunday because things have been getting physical. I read all of that, but under the disposition, the last line, it says, RO did not question Kyler about the alleged abuse while he was at the station. This was written for informational purpose only, status closed.
But Your Honor, I don't know why it says that, because on bottom of page 3, it says they talked to him. So I don't know why they said that. Maybe it was a different reporting officer that wrote that, maybe, but it says at the bottom of page 3 that they spoke to the child. But but bottom line, Your Honor, is my concern is that these incidents are going on, and my client did witness one of them, and we're going to send the boy back up there, and that's going to be a problem, Your Honor.
But your client also.
Can I say something? So,
No,
so
Roger.
you're,
Hold on, Mr. Gondel, you got an attorney.
sorry.
But what I'm saying is, you're trying to argue this motion that I wasn't. even-
Your Honor, I would ask that this
If I can
attorney
say-
not address me directly, Your Honor. I would ask that she address the court.
Your Honor, what I'm trying to say is plaintiff's attorney is trying to argue a motion that he served via email to me yesterday afternoon. Otherwise, I would have all of this documentation to prove what he said in this, but he just gave it to me yesterday. And what I'm saying is these are allegations that are simply not true. If mom is saying that she witnessed a knife being thrown, she's also saying via plaintiff's motion that there is a CPS case open when I have a letter from CPS saying that he's not even being investigated for anything. So it's simply not true. It's simply not true. Unfortunately, we have a case here of where this child just doesn't want to do homework and have rules anymore. And in regards to his homework, plaintiff's counsel has access to his records. They could have printed it out this morning. Mom has a login and passwords, but they did not. He has not been back in school. He is not completing his homework. So I don't know where they are getting this from.
Ms.
Your Honor,
Glazer,
I
you would
viewed
like-
it this morning, and furthermore, she was told that a CPS case was filed. Now, if they got some letter saying it wasn't, that they're not doing anything, well, that's a problem. And that's why I said I'm glad the front of the court's going to talk to them, because they're supposed to when there's an allegation. They can't just not do anything. They never even spoke to this court. So that's my concern, Your Honor, sending it back.
All right. One of the basis that the court entered the ex parte order, Ms. Glazer, was that you alleged in your motion that the mother was not taking the child to school. But now I'm hearing that the child's been on remote. This has been remote education. He's not attending school.
My client can testify, Your Honor, if you want to hear from her.
Wait, hold on. With Dad, Dad's child's been living with Dad. Ms. Glazer, has the child been going to school physically?
No, she's not. No, because
being taught virtually.
Dad is up in Kalkaska, Your Honor. Mom is in Luna Pier.
Hold on, Ms. Glazer.
The child goes to school physically when he lives with Dad's house. Mom removed him. He has not gone back. And when I looked at the attendance records and spoke with Dad yesterday, it still shows absent ever since he's been gone. And
Right.
Mr. Rondo can
No,
correct.
that's not accurate, Your Honor. My client can testify. She showed me this morning. Keep in mind, Your Honor, I don't have time to get all. I just got this Memorial Day weekend. I got involved, but she indicated she could testify that he's doing his school remotely. Is she?
Right, but again, the child should be in school. This court's opinion that there is no substitute for an in-person. If he's been going to school in person, he should be going back to school in person. And he's got
Your Honor,
probably 2 weeks of school left.
Yeah,
yes, Your Honor.
Important times. And Your Honor, I do not mean to be rude to plaintiff's counsel, but if you're too busy to take a case because it's Memorial Day weekend and you don't have time to get the appropriate proof, then don't take a case. I don't think it's appropriate to say in open court, oh, I was busy. Oh, it was a holiday. Oh, I didn't have time to work on it. That's not fair to the child.
Right. All right,
Your
the
Honor,
court
the
wants
client
child to
calls
go
me
back
on
to
a
school.
Friday, to retain me. How much work, or on a Thursday, how much work am I gonna get done? Okay, it's better
Absolutely.
she has a lawyer than no lawyer, so I would appreciate
Yeah.
counsel not advising me on how to practice law.
The
and
court acknowledges there's a holiday weekend, Mr. Danielski, not much you do on a holiday weekend. But in any event, the court believes this child should be back in school in person, so the court will order the child be returned to the defendant's custody. But right now it's 4:15. We're not gonna have this child get home at midnight tonight, so let's establish a time tomorrow.
Okay, in Your Honor,
what-
Your Honor, a couple clarifications. Number one, is it, I was under the understanding it was gonna be the Monroe Sheriff, not the Monroe City Police.
they're
Is
both-
that,
they're both housed in the
Patrick,
same
is that the
building.
recommendation?
They're both housed in the same building.
Okay, I didn't know that, Your Honor. Okay, and then, so it'll be across from the courthouse. My client can bring the boy tomorrow, whatever time that the dad wants to get there. And then my other request is, Your Honor, is that the child should have a phone. Dad doesn't allow the child to call the mother. She's got him a phone. I would ask that the boy be able to talk to the mother so she can check on him and talk to him while he's with dad. So at a minimum,
That's
the dad should
reasonable.
allow that.
That's reasonable.
And he has
So
a
if-
phone here,
Sure.
and I have a phone here. He has a personal phone here that is his, that she can call anytime. My only rule is that, but that phone does not go upstairs in his bedroom where he cannot be supervised on that phone.
Well,
That's
that's
the
not
only-
appropriate, Your Honor. He wants to
Okay.
supervise the phone calls with my client. He's
set a
gonna be
time.
15 years
We're
old.
gonna set dates and times. We're gonna set dates and times in which the child will call mom or mom will initiate the phone calls. Let's first of all determine the time of the transfer. It's a 3-hour drive each way. Is that correct, Ms. Glaza? From
Yes,
Cowcastle to
Your
Monroe, 3 hours each way.
Yes, Your Honor.
Little better. It's 3.5 closer to 4.
So this child's
But
gonna be,
it's fine.
I don't want the child to miss another day's school, but it's gonna be real late for the child. Child's not gonna go home until midnight.
That is correct.
Is he gonna have any trouble? How far is he from school?
We live a block away from the school.
All right, let's do it tonight then, because obviously he can sleep in the car, but I want to get back to school tomorrow. I don't want to miss another day's school. So you text Miss, get in the car as soon as we're done here, Mr. Gondol, and text Miss Williamson when you're 30 minutes out. Let her know when you meet at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office or City Police. It's on East Second Street here, right across the street from the courthouse here in Monroe. And make sure that child gets to school tomorrow. And let's set some times by which the mother should, we have mother initiate the phone calls, or we have the child initiate the phone calls.
My only concern, Your
establish-
Honor, on specific date, specific times, is you have a child who's gonna be 15, and that it seems a little restrictive. I would think that he could call the mother whenever, as long as he's not in school. I don't want him
Oh.
calling her while he's in school, but why not just be able to call the mother when he wants, or she can call him when he wants? Counsel, please. I'm almost done.
He can call, but dad doesn't, when it's bedtime, probably doesn't take the phone with him to bed.
I
That's
have a
understandable.
So, Your Honor, if what time would it be then, bedtime? Maybe no later than 9:30?
I
No,
think he goes to
10:30.
bed.
10:30 is his bedtime. That's when I take his phone away and tell him he can't go
Okay,
upstairs.
how about 10 o'clock then?
All right, so no phone calls later than 10 PM and no phone calls during school hours. How's that, Your Honor?
Why don't we just set a time? Should we set a time that a phone call every evening at
She can call
maybe
anytime.
9 o'clock?
Well, Dad seems to be okay with it. He says anytime. The problem, Your
All
Honor,
right.
is you have 14, 15-year-olds, it's a
All
little
right,
bit
is
harder.
that
with
agreeable,
them.
Ms. Glazer, that the child should have access to his phone to call mom anytime he wants, provided it's before 10 o'clock?
I agree that the only issue that Dad was saying, he wasn't trying to supervise a phone call. He just doesn't want his son to take the phone in his bedroom so that when he's maybe off the phone with mom, he starts to get online or do something that he shouldn't be. So I would
He
suggest,
would,
I would just
sorry.
suggest that mom can call dad whenever, the child whenever, and dad, maybe when the child can talk to mom at the dining room table and dad just won't be in the room. That way
Oh,
he's not listening, but you know what I mean? It's not upstairs in secret. I
Your Honor, oh my gosh. She should be able to talk to the child wherever he is. And this is a 15-year-old child. It's ridiculous. He's talking in his room, talk while he's walking down the street. He's trying to supervise the phone calls, Your Honor.
No,
He's
I'm
not.
not.
The child's having trouble in school and not turning in homework. These are guidelines. The child needs some guidelines here. He's not trying to supervise a call. And if he's not in the same room with him, I don't see how that would be a problem. The child can go sit in the backyard and talk on the phone. How about that?
Child can get, if mother calls, child can go into the bedroom. If dad wants after
Patrick,
the
do you have
phone
any
call for some
suggestions, Ms.
reason,
Patrick?
then fine, then he could take the phone, but she should be able to call and he can go in his
Sure, I
bedroom and
was-
talk to his mother,
I
Your
believe
Honor.
that I put on the recommendation, the plaintiff mother would be allowed full contact with the minor child before 10 PM. I don't believe we need any other restrictions. You know, I think that we do have to honor dad's rules in his own home. If he doesn't allow the cell phone upstairs, that's his rule, it's his home. So my recommendation would just be that would be allowed phone contact with minor child before 10 PM.
All
We
right, so
have an
ordered.
objection.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, so make sure that your son has access phone before 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not gonna, and so, but obviously he doesn't take the phone to school, does he? Or does he?
No.
I don't know, but mom's
No.
not gonna call during the school hours. I mean, obviously dinner before 10 PM. All right, we're gonna add that to this recommendation. And refer the issue of the custody parenting time to the front of the court, July 25, 9 AM review. That'd be once again via Zoom. So dad will pick up the child this evening, get on the road, dad, so you can pick up that child and get him to school tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And
Your
hopefully we
Honor.
can have more information when we come back and we can perhaps, I think it's a valid question, Mr. Danielski, why is CPS closing why did they not open an investigation if in fact they didn't talk to the child? It seemed like they should. Maybe someone can clarify that.
Miss Your Honor, but if the front of the court talks with the child, I'm fine with that. Because frankly, half the time, Your Honor, I see CPS not always impressed. Although Monroe County does a good job, Your Honor. But I don't know how they do it up in Calcasas.
All right, I'm also gonna add one other condition. There should be no corporal punishment of the minor child. So dad, no physical discipline.
Not a problem.
So
Your
we
Honor.
add that. All right,
Your Honor, would
All
you
right,
like that for both parties? Neither party will use corporal punishment?
yes, then neither party shall oppose the corporal punishment on the minor child.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And of course, school will be on in a couple weeks and,
It's 50-50 in the summer, Your Honor, is the parenting.
okay. Or 6, yeah, okay. The parties have to agree upon which week, so correct?
I think it's spelled out in the judgment. I can't remember. One party gets the first week, then it's 2 on, 2 off, 2 on, 2, and then one party gets the last week. I think that's how it works. She gets the first week, then dad gets 2 weeks, and she gets 2 weeks, and then I think he gets the last 1 week, I think is how
All
it
right,
shakes out.
All right, so that will continue then. Any prior orders not inconsistent with this order shall remain in full force and effect.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you both, Mr. Danielski and Ms. Glaza. That will conclude this matter. Thank you, Ms. Patrick.
Wow, that was awesome. Mike Tyson has nothing on attorney John Danielski. I have a feeling we are going to see another slobber knocker between these two lawyers. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Time Served and never miss these title bouts.